Welcome back to Movies Explained. Today's film is a horror from 2023 titled Sound of Silence. The film begins with Peter engrossed in his work, tinkering with a device in his house, while his wife Margarita prepares dinner. Interrupting his concentration, Margarita approaches Peter and calls him for dinner. Noticing his engrossment in something, she asks about it, and Peter explains that he stumbled upon the device in one of their boxes, having forgotten that he owned it. Margarita then informs him that dinner will be ready in 15 minutes and departs. Once alone, Peter switches on the device, revealing it to be an old radio. As the radio crackles with static, the clock in the house falls silent, and the TV signals fade away. Amidst the interference, an eerie voice commands silence, claiming to hear them. Peter becomes unnerved and hastily switches off the radio. Curiosity getting the better of him, he switches it on again, only to find a lady mysteriously standing in the room. As he hurriedly turns off the radio, the lady vanishes. In a daring move, Peter decides to turn it on once more, only to witness the lady charging towards him, ordering him to be quiet before disappearing again. Fear consumes Peter as he switches off the radio, but when he summons the courage to turn it on yet again, the lady unexpectedly takes control and switches it off herself, leaving him petrified. While attempting to leave the room, Peter accidentally bumps into a toy, triggering a sudden attack from an unseen entity. The noise reaches Margarita's ears, prompting her to investigate. However, as she approaches the source, Peter's scream pierces the darkness. The film then transitions to Emma, a talented singer, attending an audition. Overwhelmed by anxiety, she falters and fails to deliver her performance, ultimately leaving the venue disheartened. Returning home, Emma confides in her boyfriend Seba, confessing her panic during the audition. In a supportive gesture, Seba reassures her, praising her incredible voice. Just as Emma's spirits begin to lift, her phone rings, delivering devastating news from her mother. Overwhelmed with sadness, Emma tells Seba that she must return to Italy. In Italy, at a hospital, Emma and Seba discover the true extent of the family crisis. Emma is revealed to be Peter's daughter. Desperate for answers, Emma inquires about her father's condition, but her mother is unable to provide any. Emma and Seba seek out the doctor, who delivers the bad news. Peter is in intensive care due to a concussion, which led to a blood clot in his brain, as well as several broken ribs. The doctor also reveals that Emma's mother bears defensive wounds on her neck, arms, and face, indicating domestic abuse. Troubled, the doctor encourages Emma to speak with her mother, suspecting her involvement in Peter's fall down the stairs. Emma informs her mother about Peter's stable condition in the ICU and compassionately examines the bruise on her face. She tells her mother that they want to keep her under observation overnight as a precautionary measure. As Margarita prepares to leave, she tells Emma that Peter attempted to kill her, but clarifies that he was someone else. Emma assures Margarita that they will discuss the matter the next day. Margarita expresses her inability to return home and hands Emma her car keys. After Margarita's departure, Seba suggests booking a hotel, but Emma insists on going home. Upon arriving home, Emma proudly presents her recording studio to Seba, sharing how she has spent countless hours there, singing and playing music. She fondly recalls the cherished memory of singing with her father in that very space. The scene transitions to the attic, where Emma reveals that it was her father's secret sanctuary, where he enjoyed fixing old and broken objects. Sensing Emma's distress, Seba offers reassurance, assuring her that everything will be alright. Emma, however, struggles to reconcile the idea that her father could harm her mother. Seba takes it upon himself to prepare dinner, leaving Emma alone with her thoughts. She decides to switch on the radio, pondering the events surrounding her father. Sitting in her father's room, Emma discovers a typewritten note that reads, "Help." Just then, Seba calls her urgently, indicating a new development. Emma rushes downstairs to find Seba pointing out the absence of food in the house. Seba volunteers to go find food using Emma's mother's bicycle, but forgets his wallet. He promises to reimburse her the next day, but the lady refuses to give him the food. As Seba departs, he notices that his bicycle has gone missing. Meanwhile, in her recording studio, Emma immerses herself in old recordings of her and her father. Suddenly, the clock falls silent, capturing her attention. The radio in the attic crackles with static before unexpectedly playing a haunting melody. Intrigued, Emma begins recording a song of her own, but is interrupted by static noise and a mysterious voice commanding her to be quiet, claiming to hear her. Confused by the strange occurrence, Emma resumes listening to the music on the radio. Curiosity leads her to the attic, where she intends to switch off the radio. However, before she can do so, the lady appears, turning off the radio herself. Emma's fear intensifies, prompting her to turn it on again, only to be horrified by the lady's presence in a dark corner. Each time she switches it off, the lady vanishes, only to reappear when the radio is turned on. Just as Emma leaves the room, her phone rings, prompting her to rush out. Unbeknownst to her, a man appears and begins following her. As Emma goes down the stairs, she spots the mysterious lady once more, terrifying her. As she reaches for her phone, the battery suddenly dies. Just then, the house phone begins to ring, causing Emma to abruptly hang up. Unbeknownst to her, it is Seba attempting to reach her. Emma decides to get out of the house, but sees that the keys are located on the other door just as the man appears again. Filled with confusion, Emma rushes towards the door to retrieve the keys, only to be gripped by the throat by the man, who then vanishes. Suddenly, all the doors in the house are swung shut, trapping Emma inside. As she attempts to open one of the doors, something begins typing on the typewriter nearby. Upon inspection, she discovers the word "help" typed once again. Determined to communicate with the entity through the typewriter, Emma's efforts are thwarted as the man hurls the typewriter away. In the commotion, Emma catches a glimpse of a girl running away. Returning to the attic, Emma desperately tries to open a window. In her haste, she accidentally strikes a toy with her foot, causing the radio to turn on. The girl appears again and switches on the radio and swiftly disappears, leaving a doll behind. Overwhelmed by fear, Emma switches off the radio, causing the doll to vanish. However, upon switching it on again, the girl, the lady, and the man reappear, leading to a sudden attack on Emma. Overwhelmed, she faints, and the lady takes the opportunity to turn off the radio. Emma regains consciousness and hurriedly makes her way back to her studio. Meanwhile, Seba arrives home and rings the doorbell. The spirit of the man goes down the stairs, opening the basement door, allowing Seba to enter through the basement. As Seba searches for Emma, he finds himself in the laundry area, where the spirit awaits. Meanwhile, Emma decides to charge her phone and attempts to text Seba, only to discover that there is no network signal in the studio. Exiting the studio, she receives all the texts from Seba. Eager to reach him, she dials his number and is taken aback when she hears his phone ringing inside the house. Frantically searching for him, Emma heads to the laundry area where she finally finds Seba. She urges him to remain silent and leads him to the living room. In the living room, Emma grabs a notepad and pen, communicating through writing to convey the presence of someone in the house. She asks Seba if he has seen anything, but he responds with uncertainty, writing that he doesn't know. Emma switches on the TV and raises the volume. However, when the entity fails to appear, she instructs Seba to follow her. Returning to the studio, Emma plays the recording for Seba, but he claims not to hear anything. As Emma attempts to listen, the spirit tells her that it is right next to her. Much to her dismay, Seba mysteriously vanishes. Emma rushes back to the living room, only to find Seba seated on a chair. The lady spirit appears, gesturing for silence before disappearing. Suddenly, Peter says hi to Emma and rushes to attack her. Reacting swiftly, Emma strikes him and flees to the attic. Inside the attic, the radio switches on by itself, and suddenly, the girl's spirit pushes Emma into a different dimension. In this strange realm, she observes the girl running into a room. Following her, Emma discovers both the girl and the lady present. The lady addresses her daughter, mentioning that daddy is coming home and it's time to play the quiet game. She instructs the girl to take her toys to the bedroom and return to the table, assuring her that she can wear her dress after dinner. The girl asks what is wrong with daddy, to which the lady replies that he is just tired. Years ago, he fought to protect them, but the war changed him. Upon his return, he was different. Disliking noise, they must maintain silence. Emma observes the lady and her daughter serving eatery, while the slightest sound greatly agitates him. The lady and her daughter live in fear, and when the lady accidentally drops a dish, Eatery slaps her, demanding to know why she cannot be quiet. Later, the girl returns to retrieve her doll, accidentally causing the radio to fall and start playing. Eatery becomes enraged, and despite the lady's attempts to calm him down, he menacingly approaches the girl, declaring that her voice will never be heard. Emma watches in horror as he strangles his wife to death. The girl retaliates by stabbing Eatery with scissors, but he overpoweringly strangles her, ending her life as well, before succumbing to death himself in the chair. Suddenly, a possessed Seba attacks Emma, attempting to kill her. She manages to knock him down with a nearby toy and flees. Downstairs, Seba spots Emma inside the studio and enters, only to discover that it was her reflection. She locks him in the studio and plays deafeningly loud music, causing him great distress. In an effort to stop the music, Seba destroys the equipment. Emma proceeds to activate all the equipment in the house, creating a cacophony of noise. Seba emerges, breaking the glass, and follows her to the attic. He confronts her, asking her what she plans to do. Emma turns on the house alarm, but the electricity abruptly goes out, plunging the house into silence. Seba advances to attack her, but the radio starts playing, and Emma hears the voices of Eatery's wife and daughter emanating from it. She realizes that it's not just any noise that he detests, but their voices specifically. The girl and her mother appear, gripping Emma's hand, and although they scream at Seba, Emma notices that they are silent. Emma grants them her voice, and Ettari's soul separates from Saba, causing him to vanish. Exhausted, Emma collapses and finds that Saba has returned to normal. After a few days, they are seen with Emma's parents, and Peter asks Saba for help in loading the luggage into the car. Once they depart, Margarita tries to explain to Emma that her father would never harm her, but Emma reassures her that she knows it wasn't her dad. Emma and Saba return home and Emma continues with her auditioning. Meanwhile, the man who stole Emma's mom's bike discovers the radio among some junk and takes it to a pawn shop. When he informs the shopkeeper that it doesn't work, the girl offers to pay 10 euros. After he departs, she plugs the radio in and switches it on. Seeing that it doesn't work, she sets it aside. Later, she takes a photo of a painting and covers it with a cloth. However, as she goes to input the entry into her system, the spirit of the lady crawls towards her. She hears noise and discovers that the painting has fallen to the floor. When she places the portrait back in its original position, the lady advances towards her before vanishing, and as she turns around, she is pulled into the painting. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe to support the channel.